All right, we're back once again for NFL Divisional Playoff Round. It's Sunday. We've got the last two games before we hit the championship Sunday next weekend. We went 1-1 yesterday, lost the Bills in OT. Tough one to swallow. Josh Allen, 4 or 5 turnovers, killed the game. Bo Nix injury. We'll get into all that tomorrow. But for now, let's jump into these games and let's start with the first one of the day, and that's going to be the Houston Texans traveling to Gillette Stadium to take on the New England Patriots. Patriots are favored by 3.5 points. The total's 40.5. I'm seeing a 41 now on Bet Online. So how's the weather looking? The weather right now, I believe around kickoff, it's supposed to be 30, 35 degrees. And once it gets to around 3, I think we're going to have some light snow in the game. I don't know how bad it'll get because it doesn't look like it's going to get too cold below freezing until later tonight. But of course, this is an earlier game, 2 Central, 3 on the East Coast. So we'll have cold weather, but I don't think the snow will get too bad there in Foxborough. Let's get into the game because we know two things about these teams. We're going to have two strong defenses, but the Texans will be without Nico Collins, star wide receiver. We talked about CJ Stroud, how he could struggle in cold weather games last week, and he did against the Pittsburgh Steelers with, I believe, 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions. Just an awful game from CJ Stroud. But Captain Kirk, Charlie Kirk, aka Christian Kirk, dominated and saved the Houston Texans on third downs. Will he be able to replicate that performance this weekend or tonight? Today, actually. And what about this Patriots defense? This defense went all out, blitzed Justin Herbert like no other, constantly kept him under pressure, didn't allow one touchdown from the Chargers, and they dominated that game, even though it was 16-3. Patriots basically dominated that game with their defense in the second half. What can Houston do offensively against this Patriots defense? I believe this Patriots defense is a little bit better than the Steelers, especially when you have Christian Gonzalez. I believe he's healthy. He got a little banged up last week. He's playing tonight. Christian Gonzalez is available. We know the Texans rely heavily on their defense, and that dictates the pace for their offense. Running the football, Woody Marks showed up, had a great game against one of the best rush defenses in the Steelers. Can he replicate that performance? Will CJ Stroud be able to hold on to the football? The offensive line usually holds up pretty well for the Texans. It's just CJ Stroud has a problem holding the football in the pocket for too long. He usually does buy some time, but he holds the ball for far too long in the pocket, and that's where the troubles for him usually come, but also helps the receivers getting those extra seconds to get open. So it's a double-edged sword there with CJ Stroud and this Houston Texans offense. What will this Texans defense do? That's the story because we hear about it and we've talked about it. Drake May and this Patriots offense, they might be a fraud. They're on fraud alert. They're very fraudulent for because they haven't played anybody. Their record has been poor. We know that there's holes in their record and their schedule. It's the NFL. You don't get to pick your schedule, but have they been tested? Have they been through enough tough games? Because we know this isn't a veteran team playoff wise. They have a veteran head coach, but playoff wise, this is very new to this New England Patriots team and quarterback Drake May. He looked great against the Chargers, but at the end of the day, I believe they still only scored 1 touchdown. Chargers did give them a lot of trouble, and he still struggled, but he was able to make plays with his legs and his arm, especially on third down, to get the Patriots out of those problems and the trouble that he was getting into because of the offensive line is still a little suspect, but similar to the Houston Texans line. Texans have I believe one of the not the worst, but the worst rated playoff offensive line other than the Chargers. But the Chargers are the favorite ball. I digress. So how do we think this game's going to play out? This Houston Texans defense, I believe that they're going to do what the Chargers did, but didn't finish doing, and that's defeat Drake May's Patriots offense. This defense is firing on all cylinders. It's reminding me of the Ravens defense, not as star-studded, but when you have a defense that can carry you, and set up your offense, kind of like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in '05 with Brad Johnson. CJ Stroud has the talent, and all he has to do is protect the football. It's very hard for him to do. It is almost impossible for CJ Stroud to have a game without any turnovers. But this is what that defense has to do. They have to force a turnover, and Drake May is prone to them. It's not like he protects the ball. He never turns the ball over. That's not the case with Drake May. It's actually the opposite. But he's finally going to go against some tough competition. Houston Texans just need CJ Stroud to hold on to the football. I think he'll do that today. He'll have a better game than he did last week against Pittsburgh. He had all of the negative attention going into that game. He proved the doubters wrong with the help from his defense, including myself. But this weekend is when he gets the job done. And I believe Texans get the win and they upset the Patriots, even though the Patriots have an amazing home record and a home record during the playoffs. We know that was all Brady. About 95% of it was Tom Brady. Drake May has one win. Will he be able to replicate? It's yet to be seen. He finally gets tested today. That's why I like the Texans in this game. I love this defense. The problems are still there for the Patriots. The Patriots offensively and defensively. The Chargers had so many missed opportunities. A lot of it had to do with their offensive line not being able to hold up for 2 more seconds. But the passes were there. The receivers were there. They were open. I believe the Texans, even without Nico Collins, they make those plays and they make the Patriots pay for not having a tough schedule. Texans are tough. It's hard to bet against this Houston Texans defense, especially when you're getting 3.5 points. Last I checked was 3.5. Give me the 3.5 points with Houston. I also like this game to go under the total because I think we're going to have a grind fest, a grinded out game, especially with these defenses. CJ Stroud, can you trust him? I don't know. But I like Houston Texans here. I'm gonna take the points. I think with two of these games that are 3.5, both games are sitting at 3.5. One of these games is gonna come down to a field goal, and it might just be this Texans Patriots game. But I like the Texans to win because of their defense. And today, CJ Stroud protects the football. Let's get into the next game. Now, this game will be cold. LA Rams, Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, and Puka Nakua head to Soldier Field, take on Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and the Bears. Weather looks like it's going to be 19 degrees at kickoff. Going to be very cold, 22, 27 mile per hour winds. It's going to feel like -4 degrees. We probably will see some snow here. And the Rams are a road favorite. Again, 3.5 point road favorite. I don't think this is a huge number, but it's kind of a huge number, especially with the cardiac Bears here. The Bears have been labeled the team of destiny. Many are saying a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that obviously thinking the NFL is rigged, a lot of Freemasons, and a lot of that happening with the Chicago Bears team. But can they beat the Los Angeles Rams with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay? Ben Johnson, huge test ahead. Problem is, this defense, the Chicago Bears defense, got diced up and dominated by Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. But the Packers weren't able to slam the door shut on the Chicago Bears. Missed field goals, a lot of punts in the second half, and then, of course, the defensive collapse with only 6 minutes left in the game. I don't think that's going to happen to Sean McVay. Once again, that was an incredible comeback, kind of like we talked about yesterday with the San Francisco 49ers and the Seahawks. That was great. That was a great comeback. But can you replicate that? Can you do that again? The Bears will be at home again. Home field advantage, obviously with the cold weather. But I think people are forgetting the fact that Matthew Stafford, tough quarterback, has played in the cold. He's had to play in Green Bay. When he played for the Lions, he had to play in Green Bay. He had to play in Chicago. Obviously, those Bears seem not as good as they are now. They're still pretty solid, especially defensively. But Matthew Stafford's never lost a game at Soldier Field. He's undefeated at Soldier Field, and he's never lost a game when the temperature's lower than 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Never lost a game in Chicago with that temperature. And with playoffs on the line, we saw last year when they played in a literal blizzard in Philadelphia, and Stafford was still able to throw the ball. And that was a game they could have won. They think that Stafford won't be able to throw in the snow. I disagree. I think he'll be just fine throwing in the snow. how will this Bears defense hold up? They didn't hold up against the Packers. Will Caleb Williams have another crazy game, another crazy comeback, another notch on his belt comeback victory? It's possible. But we learned that Ben Johnson, he was 2 for 6 on fourth down against the Packers. He went for it on fourth down, I want to say 3 or 4 times in the first half, and he didn't get any of them. And that dug themselves in a hole. Will they be able to get out this time if it happens again? Will he be more conservative? We have to wait and see. Sean McVay, there's also talk that he didn't like the way Ben Johnson handled himself against Matt LaFleur, a friend, and, they used to co-worker. They used to coach together, LaFleur and McVay. I believe that's going to be in the back of Sean McVay's mind and get a little revenge for his boy, Matt LaFleur. I could see it happening. Will Caleb Williams be able to move the football and score on this Rams defense? Rams do have a tough defense, a tough pass rush, but they've been susceptible to the pass. Something that Caleb Williams, if he can buy some time, will help out the Bears in the passing game. Also, the running game. We saw where the Panthers were able to move the ball. Bryce Young was able to move the football against the Rams on the ground. Chuba Hubbard on the ground, even catching passes. This is a susceptible Rams defense, as good as they've been all year. They still need to tighten it up, and you want this defense to be a little tighter. So I can see there being some points in this game. I do not like how these defenses are playing. They've been getting beat a lot in the passing game and the running game. I like this to be, what's the total here? I believe it was 48 and a half. I like this game to go over the total. I don't care about the weather. I think the weather, have you ever tried to tackle somebody in 18-degree weather? That hurts. That fucking hurts. So I think this game's gonna go over. I like both of these teams in the passing game. I believe this game, I this one's tough for me because I think the Rams are going to blow out the Bears. I think the Rams defense is going to create some turnovers, force the turnovers, and cash them in on Caleb Williams. And this Rams team is well coached. They're not going to blow a 20-point lead like the Packers did. I just think this Rams team with a veteran quarterback can play in the cold, can play on the road with Matthew Stafford in this offense healthy. They're going to get the best and better of Ben Johnson and the Bears. So a little alliteration for y'all today. So I like this game to go over the total, and I think that the Rams will cover this spread and win by at least, 10 points. I've got them winning by 10 points because we know both of these games are 3.5-point spreads. What does that tell you? One of these games is going to come down to a field goal. One will definitely come down to a field goal and the spread be impacted. And I think it's going to be the Texans game. But now that I'm thinking about it, and this team of destiny with the Chicago Bears, it wouldn't surprise me if the Rams only won by 3 points. But I'm sticking with my gut here. I like the Rams to win by 10 points and then Houston Texans to win this game outright. But one of these games, I have a feeling I'm going to be wrong because one of these games will come down to a field goal. It's just a matter of which team is it going to be. I think we're going to have some good games. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, follow for more. And I look forward to these games today, and hopefully we get some winners. All right, we'll see y'all later.